You know what? I'm actually quite proud of that intro. That's pretty cool. So today, this is... Well, I've already posted it now, but this was my Inktober, Artober, October. I made that one up. Someone's probably already done that, but I thought it was being original. So this is my Mr. Freeze painting that I did for Inktober. I do this every year. I've been doing it since 2014, I believe, and with varying degrees of success. I think there's maybe 2 years where I've not done it or not completed it properly, but I was trying. Like this year's, like I'm very busy, so it's I'm doing my best. Like they're not really my best pieces, but you know, it's fun to do it, and it's fun to try new things. Like this year I was trying out new watercolour ink, which I've never used before, and I've just been using grey tones and one colour for each piece, which is quite frustrating sometimes because you just want to do like the whole thing, but yeah, I've resisted so far. But yeah, it was like this one I really wanted to do the red glasses, but I was like, no, you're not allowed, so I haven't. But Mr. Freeze is probably one of my favourite Batman villains, or actual comic book villains really. He's got a really sort of tragic backstory, which is not the reason why I like him. That'd be a bit morbid, wouldn't it? No, so like originally in the comics he was called Mr. Zero, and then the TV bosses came in and they were like, we don't like this name, so they changed him to Mr. Freeze. And he actually had like a different origin story. It was something to do with a gun backfiring or something. But when the Batman the Animated Series came out, which is what this is based on, they gave him a much more sort of dramatic and better story where he was trying to save his wife who was dying, and there was an experiment gone wrong, and basically he has to rely on this suit to keep himself alive, and he's always striving to find a cure for his wife's disease or her whatever it is that's wrong with her. And yeah, he's always sort of been like he's a bad guy, but his reasoning is probably better than most villains in the Batman universe. So here I'm just adding in some shade for the planes of the face and just trying to give it a bit more of a 3D feel, and I'm just adding light washes as well for like the blue and some of the grey. So this year for Inktober, Artober, October, I decided to do cartoons that I grew up with. Like I would struggle every morning to get up ready for school, but come the weekend I'd be up at like 6 o'clock. Like Transworld Sport would still be on at like 5:30 or 5:55 or something, but I was like, I just need to watch cartoons because that was my escape. And in the 80s and 90s we had such good animation, like, you know, the I could talk all day about them, but I've just had to pick 31 this month, and I'm sort of doing my own take on them, and some of them are more distant than others. But like I did Count Duckula the other day, and like I actually based him on a Peking duck, which was quite fun to do. And yeah, if I have time, I'm going to try and make them more different. Like the suit in this is pretty much the same as the animated version. I just tried to go with a different direction for the face, really, but it's very similar to the original. So shameless plug, if you want to see the other pieces I've done, you can find them on markstroud81 on Instagram, and I'll be posting each day. And so this year's I've been a bit cheeky, and I'm doing the actual intro of each cartoon and adding the artwork at the end of it, and on a slideshow as well, so that's pretty cool. I've never done that before. Also, I've just realised like a lot of you are probably not going to know what the heck I'm talking about when it comes to Inktober or Artober. Basically, it's the art community, or a lot of artists, doing a drawing a day, or an art creation a day for the whole of October. And lots of people do it. And so it's just sharing your work really, and getting more eyes on it. And one of my friends even just writes down martial arts techniques and explores that. Shout out to Buckley. But yeah, if you've got some art materials you've never used before, or you've got a sketchbook and it's just staring you in the face from across the room, and you're like, oh, when am I going to get around to drawing something in that? Now's the perfect time, really. There's no right or wrong. You can just have a bit of fun with it. So yeah, that's all I'd say. It's it's no pressure. If you miss a day, so what? Just do it the day after. It's not really a big deal. I think there's too much pressure for people to not show their work, especially when you're young and like you're first starting. Like I used to hate people looking at my work, especially if it wasn't finished. I would like hide it. But it doesn't matter. Like sometimes it's good to get feedback, and some feedback is awful. Like people asking people to roast their work and stuff. Like don't do that. Like you're still, especially if you're learning, like because not everyone is going to know what they're talking about. So just you're going to be frustrated with your work, and it's going to be tough sometimes. But don't be afraid to share it and to get it out there, and to finish work as well. Like sometimes finished is better than perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect when it comes to art. There just isn't. So sometimes just finishing the piece and getting on to the next one, and keep working, you're going to improve just because you're doing a lot of pieces of art. So if you're constantly worried about doing this one piece and making it perfect, and you're spending hours and hours and hours on it, and then eventually you overwork it and ruin it, well, you're back to square one again. So just don't worry about it. Just do loads. Just spam your art. Just get it out there. I'm not saying don't spend time on your artwork like you should, but don't procrastinate over it so much you don't finish it. But it's fine to post sketchbook work stuff as well, and when you get to a professional level, you're going to have deadlines, so that's what you're going to have to remember as well. So you are actually going to have to finish work, so it's always good to have an end game and cross that finish line and just get it done, because the next piece is always going to be better, and because you're just going to improve, you're going to see mistakes. And I think this one is nearly done. Also, shout out to washi tape, because I've discovered that recently. It's awesome. Like, it doesn't rip my paper or anything. It's like masking tape, but not as severe. And it's usually pretty good at sealing the paint out as well, apart from when I've been an idiot and not put it down properly. There's a Posca paint pen. I'm just doing some very bright highlights with that. Look at that. Oh, yeah. See, straight lines and no damage to the paper, which is awesome. So I'm well chuffed with that. So washi tape, check it out. Sounded like Supermarket Sweep then. It's another retro reference. And there is the final piece. I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you very much for joining me, and have a great day, evening, whatever time of day it is where you are. Brilliant.